The metal corridor outside the small living unit was quiet, lit by pale station lights that never fully turned off. Human soldier Aaron Cole moved down the hallway with slow steps, his boots heavy after a long patrol shift. The frontier station was old, far from Earth, and always felt half asleep. Most species avoided places like this. Humans did not. Aaron keyed in the door code, already thinking about food and rest. The door slid open with a soft hiss. He froze. Someone was standing inside his doorway. She leaned casually against the doorframe, as if she owned the place. Her posture was relaxed, almost playful. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lights, a soft blue-gray tone with subtle patterns that shifted when she moved. She was clearly alien, taller than most humans, her eyes large and reflective, her hair a smooth fall of silver strands. She wore nothing. Aaron's mind locked up for a full second. Training kicked in right after. His hand moved toward his sidearm, but he stopped himself. She was unarmed. Calm. "Well?" she said, her voice smooth and confident, shaped carefully in human words. "Say something?" Aaron swallowed and forced his eyes up, away from her body. His heart was pounding harder than it ever had in combat. This was not how first contact drills were supposed to go. "You're in my room?" he said slowly. She tilted her head, studying him.
"Yes, that is correct."
"And you're naked?" She glanced down at herself, then back up, amused. "Also correct." A long silence followed. Aaron let out a breath. "You can't just break into a human soldier's quarters. That's how people get shot." Her smile softened, but she did not move. "You did not shoot." "No," he said. "I didn't." She stepped back half a pace, finally giving him space to enter. "May I stay?" Every part of his training screamed that this was wrong. Unknown alien. Unknown intent. Unknown danger. But she was not acting like an enemy. She was not acting afraid. In fact, she looked relieved, as if simply reaching this doorway had already saved her life. "Sit," Aaron said, pointing to the small table inside. "And please put something on." She hesitated, then nodded. "Very well." He tossed her a spare thermal blanket from the wall unit and turned his back until he heard the soft rustle of fabric. When he turned again, she was wrapped in it loosely, her posture still proud, her eyes never leaving his face. "My name is Aaron Cole," he said. "Human Defense Force, Frontier Patrol." "I know," she replied. That made him frown. "How?" "I watched you," she said simply. "For many cycles." Aaron sat down slowly. "Start explaining. From the beginning." She lowered herself onto the chair across from him. "My name does not translate well into your language."
"You may call me Salit. Why were you in my doorway like that?"
he asked. "Because honesty matters to humans," Salith said. "And because my people believe hiding fear is a form of lying." Aaron leaned back, studying her. "Most species in this sector won't even talk to humans." "Yes," she said quietly. "That is why I am here." Salith explained that her people, a small nomadic species, were being hunted not by one empire, but by many. They were valuable as labor, as experiments, as trophies. Every major power had turned them away when they asked for protection. Their weakness made them inconvenient. Humans were the last name on the list. "We were warned about you," she said, violent, unstable, impossible to control. "And yet," Aaron said, "you came alone, unarmed, and naked." She met his eyes. "Because humans are also known for something else." "What's that?" "When a human chooses to protect something," Salith said, "they do not let go." Aaron was quiet for a long time. He remembered riots on other stations, remembered humans stepping between alien civilians and armed guards, remembered orders he disobeyed because they felt wrong. He had never thought anyone was watching closely enough to notice. "They're looking for you," he said finally. "Yes." "On this station?" "Yes." "How long do we have?" "Very little." A faint tremor passed through the station hull, barely noticeable. Aaron stood up at once. "Stay here," he said. "No, actually, come with me." "Where?" "To safety," he said, already pulling gear from his locker. She rose smoothly. "You believe me then?" "I believe you're scared," Aaron replied. "And I believe you picked this door for a reason?" As alarms began to echo faintly in the distance, Salith wrapped the blanket tighter around herself. For the first time since arriving, her smile faded, but her eyes shone with something close to hope. The galaxy had warned her about humans, but it had not warned her what would happen once decided to listen. Aaron moved fast through the narrow corridors, his steps controlled but urgent. The station's warning lights flickered from white to dull amber, signaling an unidentified presence. That alone meant trouble. Frontier stations did not waste power on alerts unless something was truly wrong. Salith followed close behind him. She moved with surprising ease, barefoot on the cold metal floor, the blanket still wrapped around her like a shield. Her eyes took everything in, the walls, the ceiling vents, the corners where shadows gathered. She looked calm, but Aaron could sense the tension in her posture. "They're already inside," Aaron said quietly.
Yes, Salith replied.
They do not like to wait. They turned into a service passage used mostly by maintenance crews. It smelled of oil and old air. Aaron stopped near a sealed hatch and tapped his wrist console. The hatch slid open just enough for them to slip inside. The space beyond was small and dim, filled with storage crates and old equipment. Aaron sealed the hatch again and leaned against the wall, listening. Heavy footsteps echoed faintly somewhere above them. "Tell me everything," he said. "No more pieces. I need the full truth." Salith nodded. She sat on a crate, folding the blanket tighter around herself. "My people are called the Lirin.
We do not fight well. We never needed to.
For a long time we traveled freely, trading knowledge and skills. But the galaxy has changed." Aaron crouched nearby, keeping his voice low. "Changed how?" "Fear spreads faster than reason," she said. "Large powers rise, then look for smaller ones to control. We refused to be owned. That made us a problem." She explained how the Lirin were targeted first by raiders, then by organized forces. Some wanted their technology, others wanted their biology. When the Lirin asked for protection, doors closed. Even species that once traded with them turned away. "They said helping us would invite war," Salith said. "They chose safety over what was right." Aaron clenched his jaw. "And humans?" "Humans were different," she said. "You are feared. But fear is not the same as hatred. Many believe humans are too stubborn to break, too angry to be ruled." "That's not exactly a compliment," Aaron muttered. "It is survival," she replied. "My people needed someone who would not step aside." A sharp sound echoed through the passage outside the hatch. Metal scraping metal. "They're close," Aaron said.
Yes, Salith agreed calmly.
Aaron activated a small jammer from his belt and placed it on the floor. "This will confuse scanners for a bit, not forever." She watched him with curiosity. "You prepared quickly." "Habit," he said. "Why me?" Salith hesitated for the first time. "Because you are alone," she said. "And because you protect without being told." He looked up at her. "You've been spying on me," I observed, she corrected. "There is a difference." She told him how she had arrived on the station weeks earlier, hiding among merchant crews watching humans from a distance. Most kept to themselves. Some were loud. Some were cruel. But Aaron was consistent. He intervened when others were in trouble. He shared rations. He stood his ground during disputes without drawing his weapon, unless there was no other choice. "You were predictable," Salith said softly, "in the best way." Aaron didn't know how to respond to that. The hatch rattled. A deep voice spoke on the other side in a harsh, unfamiliar language. Another voice answered, sharper, impatient. "They're scanning," Aaron whispered. "We need to move." "There is a lower level," Salith said. "Old evacuation routes. Humans built them for worst-case scenarios." "Yeah," Aaron said with a grim smile. "We like planning for bad days." They slipped out through a narrow access tunnel just as the hatch began to glow under a cutting tool. The tunnel dropped steeply, forcing them to climb down a ladder into the station's forgotten underbelly. The air was colder here. The lights were weak. Pipes ran along the walls like veins. As they moved, Salith spoke again. "When I came to your doorway the way I did, it was not meant to provoke you." Aaron snorted quietly. "You could say it worked anyway." "In my culture," she explained, "approaching without armor or weapons is the highest sign of trust. Hiding one's form suggests fear or deceit." "Humans don't work like that," he said. "I am learning," she replied. They reached a junction where the corridor split in 3 directions. Aaron paused, listening. Boots echoed above, closer now. "We can't outrun them forever," he said. "No," Salith agreed. "But we do not need to." She touched a panel on the wall. The metal shimmered, then slid aside, revealing a narrow chamber. "What is this?" Aaron asked. "A signal node," she said. "Old, abandoned, but still functional." Inside, strange symbols glowed faintly on a curved console. Salith stepped forward, placing her hands on the surface. The symbols brightened. "What are you doing?" Aaron asked. "Calling for witnesses," she said. The station shook as something heavy impacted the upper levels. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They'll break through soon," Aaron warned. "That is expected," Salith said calmly. "This message is not for help. It is for truth." Aaron stood beside her, raising his weapon toward the corridor entrance.
"You're broadcasting." "Yes," she said.
"To my people, and to others who are listening." The console emitted a low hum. Images flickered above it. Stars, ships, unfamiliar worlds. Salith spoke in her native tongue first, her voice steady. Then she switched to basic trade language. "I stand with a human," she said. "Unarmed by choice. He has not threatened me. He has not demanded anything. He chose to listen." The corridor filled with shouts. Shapes moved in the shadows. Aaron fired a warning shot down the passage. "Stay back!" The response was immediate. Energy bolts scorched the walls. Salith did not flinch. "If this is the end," she said quietly, "then let it be seen." Aaron glanced at her. "You're betting a lot on this." "Yes," she said. "On you. On humans." He tightened his grip on his weapon. "Then don't blink." The first attacker rounded the corner, a tall, armored figure with glowing eyes. Aaron fired, aiming to disable, not kill. The figure fell back. More followed. The station alarms rose to a full scream now, and somewhere across the galaxy, eyes were turning toward a small frontier station, toward a single human standing his ground beside an alien who had chosen him. Not because he was the strongest, but because he was willing to stand. The corridor shook as energy fire slammed into the walls. Aaron moved with trained speed, stepping in front of Salith without thinking. His body knew this motion well. Protect first, think later. He fired again, controlled bursts, aiming low and precise. One attacker fell. Another retreated behind the corner, the air filled with smoke and the sharp smell of burned metal. "They are testing you," Salith said calmly behind him. "Good," Aaron replied. "Let them learn." He pulled a small device from his belt and tossed it down the corridor. It bounced once, then released a loud pulse. The lights flickered. The attackers shouted in confusion. "They'll adapt fast," he said. "They always do," Salith answered. "But not fast enough." The broadcast continued behind them. The console glowed brighter now, sending images and sound far beyond the station. Salith's voice carried clearly, steady and unafraid. "This human stands between me and those who would take me," she said. He was not ordered. He was not promised anything. He chose. A blast struck the wall near Aaron's head, showering sparks. He ducked and fired back. "Saelith," he said. "We need backup. Humans." "Station security. Anyone." "They are coming," she said. Some already heard. As if in answer, a new sound echoed through the lower levels. Heavy boots, running, human voices. "Contact." "Lower maintenance level." Aaron risked a glance back. 3 humans appeared at the far end of the tunnel. 2 dock workers and a medic, all armed with whatever they had grabbed in a hurry. "What's going on?" one of them shouted. "Hostiles," Aaron called back. "Alien civilians targeted. Help me hold this line." They didn't ask questions. They took positions. Saelith watched them with wide eyes. "They came." "Yeah," Aaron said. "We do that." The attackers pushed again, stronger this time. They advanced with shields firing over the top. 1 human was hit and went down, dragged back by the medic. Aaron felt anger rise, hot and focused. He stepped forward, using the wall as cover, and disabled a shield generator with a precise shot. The shield collapsed. The attacker stumbled. A dock worker finished the job with a heavy tool swung like a weapon. "They bleed," the dock worker muttered. "Everyone does," Aaron replied. The fight spread. More humans arrived. Engineers, a retired soldier, even a station cook holding a shock baton. None of them knew Saelith. None of them knew the full story. They only knew someone needed help. Above them, the station shook again. The attackers were trying to force their way through other levels. "They won't stop," one human said. "They never do." "And neither will we," Aaron answered. Saelith stepped forward, her blanket slipping slightly as she raised her hands. The console responded, projecting a wide image now. The scene around them, humans bleeding, standing, fighting, was being sent across the stars.
"Observe," Silas said to the unseen audience. "This is humanity."
A bolt of energy flew toward her. Aaron saw it too late. A human engineer leapt in the way, taking the hit to the shoulder. He screamed and fell, but stayed conscious. "No!" Saelith cried. Aaron dragged the injured man back. "Medic!" The medic moved fast, hands steady despite the chaos. Saelith knelt beside the wounded human, her face pale. He was not meant to be hurt. "He chose," Aaron said gently. "Same as me." Her hands trembled as she touched the blanket at her chest. "My people believed humans were dangerous." "We are," Aaron said. "To the wrong people." The attackers hesitated now. They had expected fear. They had expected retreat. Instead, more humans filled the corridors, forming a rough line. A voice boomed from the attacker's side, translated roughly through the station systems. "Hand over the Lyran," it said. "This is not your concern." Aaron stepped forward. "She's under human protection now. Humans have no claim here." "We don't need one," Aaron replied. "You crossed our station. You hurt our people."
"That makes it our concern." Silence followed.
Then another voice, calmer, colder. "You will die for this." "Yeah," Aaron said quietly. "Maybe." The attackers charged. The battle that followed was messy and brutal, but not graceful. Humans fought with tools, with numbers, with stubborn refusal to fall back. They blocked corridors, collapsed passages, used the station itself as a weapon. Saelith watched it all, recording, transmitting. Tears ran down her face, but she did not look away. One by one, the attackers fell or fled. Some retreated, dragging their wounded. Others surrendered when they realized the humans would not break. Finally, the firing stopped. The station was damaged. Smoke hung in the air. Humans lay injured, groaning, being treated. But Saelith was still standing. Aaron leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His arm bled where a shot had grazed him. "You okay?" she asked softly. "I will be," he said.
You?
She nodded. Because of you. Around them, humans looked at her with curiosity, with caution, but also with something else. Respect. Salith turned back to the console for the last time. Let it be known, she said clearly, that humanity does not need treaties to do what is right. They need only a reason. She shut the broadcast down. Far away, governments and fleets processed what they had seen. Humans standing against overwhelming force. Not for profit, not for power, but because someone asked. Aaron pushed himself upright. This isn't over, he said. No, Salith agreed, but it has begun. She looked at the humans around her. My people will come to you now. Aaron managed a tired smile. We'll be here. And in the broken lower levels of a forgotten station, a new truth settled into the galaxy. Humans were not safe, but they were loyal, and once chosen, they did not turn away. The station was quiet in a strange way after the fighting stopped. Not peaceful, but watchful. Emergency lights glowed along the corridors, painting everything in soft red and white. Smoke drifted slowly through the air, and the smell of burned circuits and metal lingered. Aaron sat on the floor near a damaged wall, his back against the cold metal. A medic wrapped his arm carefully, speaking in a calm voice. Around them, other humans were being treated. Some sat silently. Others talked in low tones. No one laughed. Salith stood a short distance away, watching all of them. She still wore the blanket, but now it looked less like a shield and more like a reminder of where everything had started. Her eyes moved from one injured human to another. Each time she saw pain, her chest tightened. They suffered because of me, she said quietly. Aaron looked up. They chose to. That does not make it easier, she replied. No, he agreed. It never does. Station security finally arrived in force, moving carefully, weapons ready. They had expected chaos. What they found was humans already in control, holding prisoners and tending the wounded. A senior security officer approached Aaron. You're the one who started this? Aaron shook his head. No, I just refused to end it the wrong way. The officer looked at Salith, then back at Aaron. Command wants answers. They'll get them, Aaron said. After we make sure everyone here survives. The officer studied him for a moment, then nodded and moved on. Salith took a slow breath. Your people do not wait for permission. Aaron smiled faintly. If we waited every time, nothing good would ever happen. Hours passed. Fires were put out. Systems were stabilized. The attackers who survived were locked down, guarded closely. News spread fast through the station, then faster beyond it. Salith felt it before she heard it. They are watching, she said softly. Aaron followed her gaze to a small console that had reactivated on its own. Signals pulsed across it, faster than before. Many sources. Many eyes. My broadcast reached farther than I hoped, she continued. Not just my people. Is that bad? Aaron asked. It is dangerous, she said honestly. But also necessary. A new message appeared, translated into basic language. A Lyran symbol shimmered, followed by familiar shapes from the broadcast. Salith stepped closer, her breath caught in her throat. They saw, she whispered. They saw everything. The message was simple. Her people were moving. Ships that had been hiding for months were changing course, not toward a distant refuge, but toward human space. They trust you now, she said, turning to Aaron. They trust humans. Aaron felt the weight of that settle heavily on his shoulders. Trust is a big thing. Yes, she said. That is why we do not give it easily. The next signal was different, stronger, official. Multiple governments, multiple species. They demanded explanations. They demanded access. They demanded Salith. They will come, Salith said. Not with open hands. Aaron stood, ignoring the pain in his arm. Then they'll meet us standing, the station commander called an emergency meeting. Humans filled the room. soldiers, workers, medics, engineers. Salith stood among them, smaller than many, but somehow impossible to ignore. "The station is under pressure," the commander said. "External forces are moving closer. They claim jurisdiction." A murmur ran through the room. Aaron stepped forward.
And what do we say?
The commander looked at him for a long moment. "We say this is human-controlled space. We say any approach without consent is hostile." Silence followed, then nods. One by one, Salith felt something shift inside her. These humans were not acting out of fear. They were acting out of choice. Later, as the station prepared defenses, Salith stood alone near a viewport. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass. Aaron joined her.
You okay? I am afraid, she admitted. But I am not alone.
"That is new. You won't be," he said. She turned to him. "You understand what this means, don't you? If my people come to you, others will follow. Refugees, targets, wars." Aaron nodded. "Humans have been in wars since before we left our planet." "That is not what I meant," she said gently. "I mean wars where you stand because you chose to care."
He met her gaze.
"Those are the only ones worth fighting." Alarms sounded again. Not the frantic scream of before, but a deep warning tone. "Multiple ships entering range," a voice announced over the system. "Unknown configuration." The main screen lit up. Ships appeared, sleek, powerful, not Lyran. "They came fast," Sayla said. Aaron's jaw tightened.
They usually do when they think they can scare us.
A transmission cut through the room. A cold, confident alien voice spoke. "Hand over the Lyran representative. This matter does not concern humans." Aaron stepped closer to the screen. "It concerns us now. You are outmatched." Aaron glanced around at the humans standing beside him. Tired. Injured. Still unbroken. "Yeah," he said. "We've been hearing that our whole history." Weapons powered up across the station. Human ships undocked, moving into defensive positions. They were fewer, smaller, older. Salith watched with a mix of fear and awe. "You will lose many," she said softly.
Probably, Aaron replied. But not today.
Not without a reason. The enemy fleet paused. Sensors swept the station, then the surrounding ships. They had expected surrender. Instead, they found a line. Across the galaxy, others watched again. The same images, humans standing firm, protecting someone who could not protect herself, alone. Sylith placed her hand over her heart. "This will change everything." Aaron nodded. "It already has." As the first hostile ship moved forward, human weapons locked on. No one fired. Not yet. The message was clear. Humans were not looking for a fight, but they were ready to finish one. And for the first time in a long time, the galaxy hesitated. The station thrummed with life as preparations continued. Humans moved with purpose, repairing damaged systems, tending to the injured, and coordinating defenses. The corridors still smelled faintly of smoke and scorched metal, but there was no fear. There was determination. That single word echoed through every room. Resolve. Salith stood near the viewport again, watching the incoming fleet. Their sleek ships glimmered under the distant starlight. Some bore the markings of distant governments, others, unknown factions. They had come expecting weakness, expecting a surrender. What they found instead was a line of humans standing together, ready to defend one of her kind. Aaron approached, his arm still bandaged but his posture steady.
"They'll try negotiations first," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "Then intimidation.
Then force, if it comes to that." Salith nodded. "They will learn what I have already seen. Humans are not moved by threats. They are moved by choices."
"They'll see it soon enough," Aaron replied. The comm system crackled.
A representative from the approaching fleet spoke, voice calm but cold. This station is in violation of interstellar law. Hand over your guest. Surrender, and this can end without bloodshed. Aaron straightened, looking over the assembled humans. They had survived the first attack. They had fought, injured, and exhausted, yet still they stood. "We do not surrender," he said simply. "Not today. Not ever. This is human space, and she is under our protection." Saleth's eyes widened. This declaration, simple in words, was monumental. Humans did not need treaties. They did not need legal permission. They needed only the courage to choose right over fear. She placed her hand gently on Aaron's shoulder. "Your people are remarkable. We can be stubborn." "Stubborn?" she asked. "No, you are relentless." Outside the station, human ships took defensive positions. Despite being outnumbered and less advanced, their formation was tight, disciplined, and purposeful. They had one clear goal: to protect someone who could not protect herself, and in doing so, show the galaxy the truth about humans. The fleet halted its advance. Sensors picked up no sign of panic in the station, only organization and calm. The opposing commanders transmitted another message.
"You are outmatched. You will lose." Aaron raised his hand as if to silence the voice itself.
"We do not lose," he said. "Not when we fight for what is right." Saleth felt an unfamiliar surge of pride. Her species had seen humans in combat before, but never like this, never defending strangers with such quiet resolve. She realized why the galaxy both feared and respected them. It was not their strength. It was their unwillingness to give up when someone depended on them. The first hostile ships moved closer. Human weapons powered up, but no shots were fired. The station's AI systems worked with human ingenuity, rerouting power to shields, diverting energy to critical systems. Every corridor, every docking bay, was a small battlefield prepared in advance. The humans were ready, but they waited. The enemy fleet attempted a show of force, firing a volley toward the station. Aaron gave the order, and human shields absorbed most of the impact. The remaining shots were deflected by careful targeting and station design. Few humans were injured, but the enemy's confidence faltered. "Why do they not fire to kill?" one opposing commander asked over the comm. "They are showing restraint," Saleth said softly. "They fight to protect, not to destroy. That is something your people do not understand." Aaron glanced at her. "It's who we are. We don't need permission to do what's right." Saleth watched as humans moved in coordinated teams, reinforcing damaged sectors, protecting wounded allies, and preparing countermeasures. It was more than military skill. It was care. They fought not just with weapons, but with ingenuity, with patience, and above all with unwavering commitment to those who could not defend themselves. Finally, the enemy fleet hesitated, scanning the station again. Reports flooded in. Satellites and distant observers, seeing the broadcast Saleth had transmitted, had already begun to act. Other species, some quietly allied with humans, some neutral, sent signals. Witnesses from across the galaxy now watched, recording every move. The humans' actions were no longer just a station defense. They had become a demonstration, a lesson. Aaron stepped to the console beside Saleth. "You wanted to show your people the truth about humans," he said. "I did," she replied. "And now the galaxy sees it too." One by one, the enemy ships began to withdraw, not fully defeated, but unwilling to escalate further. They realized that the humans' stubborn defense was not a bluff. The station remained intact, the crew ready, and the humans had sent a clear message. Attacking would have consequences far beyond the station itself. Saleth allowed herself a small smile.
"It is over. For now." Aaron looked at the departing fleet.
"It's never truly over," he said, "but the choice we made here, it matters. That is what counts." The humans around them cheered quietly, tending to each other and the wounded, their faces tired but proud. For the first time in months, Salith saw her people's fate might have a chance. The Lyran ships, hidden and waiting, were now approaching human space, not in fear, but in hope. Aaron offered her a hand. "Come on, let's make sure your people are safe." She took it, feeling the strength and certainty in his grip. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but here she had found something extraordinary. Humans did not just survive. They protected. They fought for what was right. They stood when others would have run. Together they walked toward the station control room, where a map of approaching Lyran ships and human defenses glowed. Communications from her people were already coming in, messages of thanks and trust. The bond between species was forming in real time. "This is just the beginning," Aaron said. Salith nodded, eyes fixed on the display. "Yes, but it is a beginning unlike any we have ever seen." She looked at him again. "You risked everything for me. For my people. Why?" Aaron gave a faint shrug. "Because no one should face danger alone. That's all I know." She studied him, realizing that the galaxy had judged humans poorly for centuries. They had called them violent, unpredictable, selfish. But here was the truth. A human chose to act not for gain, not for orders, not for fear, but for another being. That simple choice could change everything. The station lights dimmed as evening cycles began. Outside, stars stretched endlessly. Lyran ships slowly approached, guided by the signals of trust Salith had sent. Humans prepared to welcome them, not as conquerors, but as allies. Aaron and Salith stood side by side, watching the first signs of her people entering safe space. The humans would defend them if anyone challenged them, and the galaxy would see it. Salith felt something she had not in a long time. Hope. The galaxy had expected humans to be dangerous. But now, humans were something far more remarkable. They were guardians, they were protectors, and they could be trusted. Aaron placed a hand on the console, sending final commands to integrate the station's defenses with the incoming fleet. He glanced at Salith. "Ready?" She nodded. "Always." The first of her people's ships docked. Humans stood at the gates, guiding them safely. Salith stepped forward, feeling the warmth of allies and the relief of survival. She had seen fear, conflict, and danger across the stars, but never courage like this. In the quiet that followed the battle, the frontier station became a symbol. A single human had made a choice, and that choice rippled across the galaxy. Trust was earned in moments like these, not treaties. And from now on, every species watching knew that humans were not just fighters. They were champions of the helpless, defenders of the lost, and unstoppable when they chose to act. Salith turned to Aaron one last time. "You have changed the fate of my people, and perhaps more."
Aaron smiled faintly.
"We just did what had to be done." "But you did it with courage," she said softly. "And that," he replied, "is the human way." Outside the viewport, the stars glittered as Lyran ships aligned safely with human control. Across the galaxy, observers watched the events unfold, and in that moment humanity's reputation shifted, not through domination or fear, but through a simple, unbreakable choice: to stand, to protect, and to be relentless in doing what was right. The frontier station was quiet now, but the story it told would echo across systems. The humans had proven themselves. Salith's people would never forget, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. For once, a doorway, a choice, and a single human had changed everything. Humans had arrived, not as conquerors, but as champions, and that truth would not be forgotten.